All right, hi, welcome everybody to the January 22nd, 2025 City of Mesa Planning and Zoning Board public hearing. We'll begin with a roll call. Chair Ayers is here. We'll go over to Vice Chair Pitcher.
Here.
Thank you. Board Member Montes.
Here.
Board Member Carpenter.
Here.
Board Member Farnsworth.
Here.
And we'll be excusing Board Member Peterson and Board Member Blakeman today. So as part of the agenda, we do have a consent agenda. These will all be read into the record and acted on in one motion. These will not be discussed individually. I don't know why I'm using plural. It's only one item. Actually, it's two. Never mind. We got two. So we'll have Board Member Montes be reading the consent agenda for us today.
Okay. Items on the consent agenda. Approval of minutes from previous meetings. Item 2A, minutes from the January 8, 2025 Planning and Zoning Board meeting. Take action on the following zoning cases. Item 3A, ZON 24-00291, Project Borealis, 159 plus acres located at the northwest corner of East Warner Road and South Ellsworth Road. Site plan review and special use permit for a data center, District 6. Staff recommendation, approval with conditions.
Thank you. Appreciate that. So all in favor of passing on the consent agenda as read, please vote. And then Vice Chair Pitcher.
Yes.
And with that, unanimously that passes. Thank you for reading that consent agenda first today. So for that, we'll move over to discuss the one item that we do have on the agenda, which is item 4A. And we'll go ahead and invite staff up.
Chair, before we move on, can we clarify who motioned and seconded that approval of the consent agenda?
Did we not do it?
We didn't catch it here.
I'll motion first.
Second.
Second.
Sure.
Sorry about that.
Do you want me to reread it?
Kirsten, do we need to revote or?
Unfortunately, I'm going to ask.
Okay, we'll do it.
Okay.
All right. Josh, you can come right back. I'm going to be right. So look for a motion to pass the consent agenda as read. I need a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Second.
All right, all in favor? Revote, Jeff.
Yes.
And again, that passes surprisingly. All right, thank you. Come on up, Josh. You got excited.
This is for ZON 24-00638, also known as the Lofts at 121. This request is for a rezone from RS6 to RM4 with a planned area development. It is for site plan review as well, and this is to allow for a multiple residence development. The site is located north of Main Street, as well as east of Alma School, located on North Beverly. Per the 2040 general plan, the general plan designation on this site is neighborhood/transit corridor station area due to its vicinity to that light rail stop at the Alma School in Maine. This area is predominantly single residence. However, it may contain a variety of lot sizes as well as dwelling types, as well as within the station area. That's typically a 15-minute walk around that station area is intended to be more intense development that's associated with the corridor, as well as expected to transition into an urban four the closest you get to downtown. This zoning on the site is currently RS6, and again, that request is for multiple residence 4 with a planned area overlay. Here's the existing site photo looking east from Beverly. You'll see is the house at 121 as well as the one next to it, and these two are the ones that are proposed as part of that overall site plan on those two lots to be demoed and then replaced with the proposed project. Here's the proposed 68 townhouse site plan. This has addressed changes since the design review board last week. The primary access is from Beverly, as well as what was previously parallel parking on the north side has been changed to increased landscaping, as well as overall parking count is 143 is required, and the applicant has provided 157 parking spots on site. Here's the proposed landscape plan, utilizing those comments from the DRB, as well as being updated to meet the new overall layout. And a new updated rendering showing that view if you look east from Beverly. And then here's the overall deviations. As I mentioned in the study session, a lot of these are dealing with the overall lot restrictions, as well as the proposed development, the impact to the site, to the overall setbacks, as well as landscape setbacks, lot coverage, proposed design for the garage, architectural break, as well as the crossback of that cross aisle, and that's specifically for those first garages that are off that drive aisle. And then as part of this process, citizen participation was required, which required the notification of property owners within 1,000 feet, as well as registered HOAs and neighborhoods. There was a neighborhood meeting on September 5th where 12 neighbors did come out and did have concerns about their overall traffic impacts on the site, not only to the development itself, but the overall impacts to Beverly Park and the neighborhood as a whole, as well as concerns about air quality, as well as overall quality of life in this area. We also received emails reiterating those concerns as well as some additional emails, general inquiries about if it's for rental or for sales, and based off of the current submittal, it is designed for rental. Staff finds the overall project complies with the 2040 Mesa General Plan, Chapter 69 of the MZO for Site Plan Review, Chapter 22 of the MZO for Planned Area Development Overlay. Staff recommends approval conditions. Happy to answer any questions.
All right, thanks, Josh. Any questions for Josh from the board? Oh, hold on. We'll get there.
I'm sorry, Josh, can you clarify, are we, like the parking, did you say it was over what is designated?
Yes, thank you, Chair and Board Member Montes. So specifically for a townhouse development, the standard parking requirement is 2.1 parking spots per unit, which would calc out to 143 for the 68 units with that 0.1. Based off of that, the applicant has provided for 157 parking spots, which is 14 over that required number. So therefore, they're meeting that parking requirement.
Did they designate, like, are those 14 going to be like visitor or just extra per unit?
So thank you, Chair, Board Member Montes. It's my understanding that their general visitor parking and things of that nature, I don't believe that at this time they've been designated specifically for any units or anything of that nature.
Okay, I wanted clarification because,
Anything else?
no, not from me.
Nope. Vice Chair Pitcher, any questions on your side? No, okay, thank you. With that, I know the applicant is here as well. There he is. He's like, where's Tim?
I'm the little guy in the front.
Welcome back.
Thank you. He's saying welcome back. Some of you may. I was on the Planning and Zoning Board for 6 years. 6 wonderful, fun years. Okay, and okay. These are the lofts at 121 on Beverly Street. This is a bit of a more unique project for me. One of my mother's best friends lived in this house. One of my good friends, Jeremy, lived in this house as he was growing up. So I've spent more time on this lot than I think most lots that I end up developing. This gave me, I guess, a sense of more care and concern with it as I approach this design. This gives you a little bit of an overview where it's at. I think you saw this already with Josh's presentation, but you see Alma School cutting down right through here. This area, so this is my neighborhood. I live quarter mile from this lot. There's a lot of development coming in. West Mesa has had some infill challenges over the years as buildings have aged and the area has aged. But happily, we recently, many of you voted for the one that we had down here, the sewing shop, the expansion there. We're working on a project that's right here. There's another project coming in right here. And then there's, of course, the one that we have here. So there's a lot of new growth starting to pop up in West Mesa, and a lot of it is filling in that missing middle that we run into challenges filling up in a city like ours. You see here from this chart that there is a lot of mixed zoning because of the light rail proximity, and Main Street, there's a lot of RM4 to the south. You get a little bit of RM2, some RM4 to the north. There's a mix of different densities and everything in this area as it's a transitional area in this neighborhood. There's some RM4 across the street. Just to give you an idea, the zoning, the RM4 zoning that we're seeking is not unusual for this neighborhood. There you see it. As we approached this project, we knew that Beverly Park was here. Since I know this neighborhood, Beverly Park has a unsavory reputation. It's dark at night. There are often vagrants there. There are drug deals there. There are issues with that the neighborhood has brought up quite often. And so as we approached it, we said, can we do some things, as this development goes in, can we put the buildings closer to the park? Can we have lights on the park? Can we have eyes on the park from the front doors and from the windows of these buildings? We put a view fence right along the park. And as we envisioned it, it's not our park, but we envisioned this project as the park getting a lot more use from residents of this project, the park being seen and lit by this project coming through. And this is one of the ways in which this area, this project, we hope helps to enhance the neighborhood. And so you see here, this is what the development would look like with the park to the south of it. You see there's the playgrounds and the things there. There's a mural in the park. We're preserving that on part of the wall that's there. There's a big block wall that's there now. We would remove most of that and put view fencing so that there's a lot of viewableness between the park and the development. This is the site plan. The parking, I think that Board Member Montes, sorry. There's a Montorez project right up the street from this, so I'm trying not to confuse the two. The primary parking for visitors is all in this area right here. All of these units have a 2-car garage. We've developed many projects like this that have these 2-car garages. We see them as townhomes, as a missing middle, filling in a missing middle, so it's not putting apartments right next to single-family residences. It's putting something much more like a house, a townhouse that's close to that. We've seen in our developments up in, we've got one up in McKellips, on McKellips and Gilbert. Most of the residents there have 1 or 2 cars. There's a common concern that people will put their cars in the garage or fill the garage with stuff and then park their cars elsewhere. That's not something that we've typically seen in the developments that we've done. This is the pigeon lofts that Josh referred to earlier. You can see the pigeon lofts has all these rules about what will get a pigeon in and out and why a pigeon will want to roost. It's fascinating stuff, and if you want to grab lunch sometime, I can tell you all about it since I learned all about it for this. We took that same shape and we applied it to the architecture of the building to bring some of the history of this project to the forefront. These buildings are in the backyard, so they're not easily seen from the street, but you can see them from the park, and so we're kind of celebrating that. Jerry Rowley, who was a friend of mine who lived here for many years, kept a flock of pigeons and showed his pigeons and all of that. So this is adding to the history of the site. The landscape architecture is in this. We wanted some shade from the south side, but we wanted as much viewable area looking to the south at the park from the units here. We wanted as many trees as possible aligned along the north side, as these are single-family homes in here, and it's always been our goal to keep as much distance as we can because we know that this is more dense than the single-family homes to the north. We try to put as much planting as we can along here, and so we have the full landscape. We're not asking for any reductions on that side. And then because you have the 15-foot landscape setback here and the 24-foot drive aisle here, you actually have much more than the typical 30 feet required for a setback. You have much more than that along this area here. This one, you have the standard 30-foot setback between a 2-story building and the lots next to it along here. We also have this corridor, the central corridor to the project that comes along here. And I think this is how we envision that corridor being used. We worked carefully with our landscape architect, Don Campbell. He's done many of the desert botanical gardens. And he wanted it to be a shady spot. You could put some party lights up there, but it wouldn't be exposed to harsh sunlight. It would have a lot of mottled shadows and stuff on it. Since for 8 months of the year in our city, it's better to have shade than it is to have sun. This is looking down that north drive aisle, so the single-family homes are over on this area. The neighbors have asked us to put an 8-foot wall instead of the standard 6-foot wall, and so that's what we'll do there. We have a series of oak and gum trees that come along here that have a a wide canopy mulga trees as well. And so you can see with the windows on the second stories here, the goal is to block much as possible any light coming from these windows and any views that are coming between the two, either looking into the windows from the neighbors' lots or looking at the neighbors' lots from the windows. This is just another view of that with the trees growing up there to avoid as much as possible any views between the two lots. These are the two-story units. There are 2 and 3-story units. The 2-story units are on the neighborhood side as we try to blend from 2-story to 3-story. We always aim to do high-quality units. These are very similar to the ones on Main Street that are around the corner that were very successful, with a 2-car garage here, and then you walk in to a living, kitchen, dining area, and then upstairs you have a nice master suite with a walk-in shower and tub, a large flex space, and then 2 bedrooms up on the top. And then our 3-story units, the base of those units is a garage. You come upstairs into a living, kitchen, dining area, and then upstairs to 3 bedrooms, the master suite, bathroom, laundry, and 2 bedrooms up at the top. I wanted to address one other concept here. I can do it with this image. As we're trying to recreate as much as possible a single-family home experience, although we're adding additional density, I'd like to look at the luxury apartments that exist in the rest of the valley. One that I always think about is the Kierland or Optima projects that have a parking garage. Often, many of my clients, because I do houses as well, many of my clients live in projects like that. And a parking garage to me is a kind of a dismal, sad, concrete place to go in. And so you spend a lot of money on a really nice place, and then you drive around in a parking garage and you park, and then you get your groceries, and you have to walk a couple hundred feet to an elevator and then to your unit. This, I think, is a better way of doing it. So I don't see this, I see this as a distributed parking garage, except you get to park right into your garage and then go right into your house. And so I see this as this is Mesa's answer to the luxury stuff that happens in Scottsdale, and this is where we have something better. This would be a much improved experience of getting through a parking garage. And so in our projects, we typically don't spend a lot of time trying to beautify the drive aisles. We try to put all the beauty on the center aisles where the front doors meet each other, or along the outsides where the front doors meet. We try to focus on that because driving down here to the place you're gonna park is 30 seconds, 45 seconds, not a great amount of time. You're gonna spend much more time in the front yards of your units. And any visitors that are walking are gonna do that same thing. Visitors who are driving, not very long, and they'll find their parking right in here. And so we see that we do admit that this has density to it and it has these garage doors to it. But we still feel that this is a better product than some of the finest places that people choose to live in the valley. And with that, I will open up to any questions. Thank you for your time.
All right, questions? Go for it.
One quick question, and maybe I misheard you, I'm sorry if I did. On that southern boundary between the development and Beverly Park, is that an actual block fence along that entire southern perimeter, or is there some level of porosity between the development and the park?
So currently, there's some of it is wrought iron fence and some of it is block fence. We would keep just this area right here of the block fence that has a mural that's been painted on it by the community, and then we would make all the rest of it view fence, so that anytime people are coming in and out of here, there's eyes on the park. And it just makes a much better amenity than you're just looking out on the park.
Sure, yeah, well, and that leads right into my follow-up question, I think, is, as you noted in some of your earlier remarks about some of the security concerns with the Beverly Park, how then are you maybe mitigating some of those security concerns with that view fencing for your anticipated residents?
So this area will be very well lit. We're putting an expensive amount of lighting along that area there. It's a 5-foot view fence, so it's not something that's easily jumped. And that's where that's always one of the concepts. If people can see what's going on, it's a safer area. If it's a block fence and someone can jump over it and hide, it's a less safe area. Sure. So that's the goal of mitigating that anyone driving down Beverly could see anyone doing anything along that fence. Anyone in the development could see something going on there. If it was a block wall, you don't know what's happening on either side, so.
Thank you.
Chair, board members, regarding the fence, there were a couple comments that I think need clarification. I think the applicant mentioned an 8-foot wall to the north.
On the north side, yes.
Okay, that was not part of any of the PAD modifications, so in order to do that, we would need to add that as
As a stip.
a stipulation.
And Rachel, in addition, we'd need an updated narrative from the applicant before we could move to council on that with that updated step.
Okay.
My apologies for the oversight. We talked about it with the neighbors, and we must have just forgot to update it in our drawings.
Okay. And the other piece having to do with the replacement of the wall along the park side, staff also recommends that there be a condition that we work with Parks on the approval of that wall as well, because it would be on a shared property line.
Yes, yeah, we would have to do that. And we've reached out to Parks to discuss this property a few times already.
But Chair Ayers, we want to make that also a condition of approval.
Yeah, I'm writing it down right now.
Thank you.
Go ahead, yeah.
Yeah.
No, you had questions.
Just a quick question, Tim. I'm curious the square footage of the units. They all appear to be 3 bedrooms, so I'm curious if they're all the same square footage, or obviously the 3 stories were going to be slightly larger, I'm guessing.
Let's see if I can zoom in on this. The 2 stories are actually a little bit larger. Let's see if I can get to it. If I remember correctly, the 2-story units tend to be around 1,600 square feet. 1,520 livable on the 2-story units. So yeah, about 1,500, and ooh, this doesn't like to move. Oh, it looks like we don't have it. It's I think around 1,300 for the 3-story units. It doesn't look like we have that called out on here. It's somewhere between 1,300 and 1,400 square feet.
All right, thank you.
Any questions over here? No? Vice Chair Pitcher, questions?
I've just got a clarification on that 8-foot wall to the north. It looks like there's some existing walls, some block walls there. Is this 8-foot wall going to be a replacement of the existing walls or in front of it, just so there's a gap, or what's the plan there?
Board Member Pincher, yeah, the existing walls, I think they vary in height, but they're somewhere closer to 6 feet. And so if we put an 8-foot wall there, we would have to put in a new foundation. This would be something we would work with the neighbors, as that was their request, that it goes to 8 feet.
Thank you.
Anything else, Vice Chair Pitcher? Nope. All right. Thanks, Tim. I think we're good.
Thank you.
All right, with that, so we're going to go ahead and open this up for public comment. I do have some cards. I do know that we've received some comments. The board has reviewed those that we were emailed, but then I do have a few. So when I call your name, we'd love to have you come up. Each of you can have 3 minutes, and when you come up, if you could just state your name and address for us, and we'll go from there. And I'm just going to read them in the pile that I have. So Mike Ziegler. All right, Mr. Ziegler, come on up. And hopefully I said your name right.
Takes me a sec to get up.
You're good.
Sorry, I don't have all the high-tech stuff.
You're good.
I have visual handouts. Somebody come up and get them. There's more than enough. I think there's 10 of them there.
Thanks, Alexis. Thanks, sir. There you go. This is, yeah, there we go. There you go. Cool. Not sure I'm able to read all that. Okay. Go ahead. If you could state your name and address for us to start.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
my name is Michael Ziegler, 1019 West 2nd Street. I live on the other side of the wall, just north of this project. It's going in. Okay, the biggest issue that we have with this is the density of it. We are putting 270 to 340 people based upon whether there's 4 or 5 people in these particular apartments. We got 68 townhomes, 161 parking places, all on 3/4 acres, and they're talking about we're going to have a 446 traffic, I guess, what do they call it, traffic events daily as a result of this. Our big problem is the pollution. You're going to go and have 161 cars in this area, and we're just afraid that it's going to pollute. We have on the other side of the wall at 1019, which happens to be the west edge there, we've got an adult with 2 high school kids. In my address, we have 3 older adults. I'm 78, my wife is 70. I just recently recovered from prostate cancer, and I'm on O2 at night. 1029, we have a 4th generational house. The original owner sold to a son who had his family living there, so we have 3 adults and 2 children. 1035, multi-generational with 3 adults, 1 child. 1045, 2 adults, 3 small children. On Beverly, right next to the park, we've got 2 adults and 3 children. And then at 163, we have a gentleman here, lives alone. He has brittle bone disease, as you can see, and he also has a compromised immune system. What we're afraid of is the pollution that's going to come from all this. Like today it was 70 degrees. We had a minus 9 degree dew point with no wind. So any pollution that was there would have just settled in the area. The American Lung Association issued a report stating that there's the 10 problems that you have with high quality of air pollution. You know, premature death, asthma, cardiovascular, lung cancer, COPD, all those. New research is also discovering the links between the air we breathe and mental illness. I'm one of the ones that's going to do it. If you have an 8-foot wall and you have somebody 14 feet off the ground, they're going to be able to see everything in my backyard from 40 feet from the wall on, which includes all my back porch. So my wife and I have a jacuzzi there that we use, and we're just afraid that all this is going to be compromised. The homes that are going to be on the other side of the wall from us, the walkway going to these homes is going to be right on the other side of our wall. We just don't have the privacy that we normally have. This is my forever home. I'm going to live here till the day I die. Hopefully it's going to be about 22 more years unless I get polluted to death. The traffic issues. According to what the traffic calming report said, that there are 1,500 and some odd daily traffic events in our neighborhood. They're going to be adding another 446, which is going to put us up over 2,000 traffic events in a residential neighborhood. Right now, we have people that cut on Main Street, cut down Beverly, go all the way through to University, or they go to 2nd Street or 2nd Place to get onto Alma School because they don't want to get hit at the light. We have the same problem on University, people cutting through the neighborhood because it's an easy way for them to avoid the light at Alma School. And we just don't need the extra traffic. We don't need the extra pollution. So if we could just get a compromise, I know something's going to get built, but we need to compromise in the amount of people and the amount of cars, the amount of pollution, the amount of noise. That's all I ask about. If they could, they're all going to be 3-bedroom. Why they all have to be 3-bedroom? I know the owner wants to maximize his profit on this, but at the same time, that profit can't come at the expense of the people that live around us. I've been there for 25 years. I have other people that have been there for 50 or 60, the families. So we just can't have all of this pollution and all of this. So if we come up with some sort of a compromise, you know, put some 1-bedrooms in the back part where the old folks can be, because there's going to be one entrance. And that entrance is on the south side of the complex. So all the people that are on the north side of the complex are going to have to drive all the way around in order to go out. I pity the people that live at the very front of the apartment complex. They're going to get all the pollution that goes by. So that's basically about all I've got to say. There's more in my report.
All right, thank you, Mr. Zink. We appreciate you coming.
So, thank you much.
Thank you, sir. So I have Linda Spy. Ms. Spy. You
My
state
name
your
is Linda Spy. I live at 1019 West 2nd Street, adjacent to this project that's being put before you. Again, our issues are density. We have a neighborhood that has less than 60 homes in it. We're one of the neighborhoods that buffer out the ghetto on the south side of Main Street. We're one of the few neighborhoods that is off of Main Street that have $500,000 homes in it. We're trying our hardest to have, we should be a heritage neighborhood designated because of the things that have gone on in our neighborhood. We also have a church. It's insane that we want to double the size of the neighborhood in a shoehorn area. It's too many units. It's just too many. It's gonna overwhelm the school. It's gonna overwhelm us with traffic. I spend a lot of time in my yard, and I'm the person who got the speed bumps on 2nd Street. People are insane when they drive through our neighborhood. We had 60-mile-an-hour type recordings, and a lot less that were much above. We have people, the kids, also love to jump the wall in the area. Are we gonna have that into our backyards? We can't guarantee that that's gonna be owner occupied. So the kids that are in there, they're not gonna care about our neighborhood and they can come to my backyard. We have guns at our house. We will take care to make sure they don't come back to our backyard. We don't want this in our neighborhood. It's too many, too much, too many cars. We've got so many kids, it's not funny. I mean, he didn't mention the one house in the corner. I think they've got 12 kids. It's a Mormon neighborhood. We have lots of kids. The traffic's insane. The kids are running off the street. I mean, it's nuts. They've run into our house, speeders. We've had them run into the house next to us. He will attest when he gets up, Jordan, that he has seen accidents and near accidents at our corner right down the street. It's insane. We cannot have that much more traffic in our neighborhood. We just can't. There's nowhere for the traffic to go but through our neighborhood. It's already nuts. We need to cut this project in half. It's just not fair to the people who are paying, have earned the right to live in our neighborhood, that keep our houses looking nice. We don't need this to mess things up for us. We're proud. We like to live in Mesa. Don't make us have to move back out east. You know, out east, they don't have to worry about it. We're one of the few nice neighborhoods in West Mesa. We'd like to maintain that. And I don't see bringing 60 homes in is gonna do it. When they're in a shoehorn, what do you do when you put rats in a box? Too many rats, they start to kill each other. 60 homes, for crying out loud, folks. We don't have that in our neighborhood. Please, please consider cutting this in half. I mean, it's just sad. We've got kids near there that are gonna be walking to the school. We have easily 50 kids that walk from Legacy through the park to the school. All that's they're gonna be bringing their kids over to the school. Everybody in the neighborhood drives their kids to the school because it's not safe, because of the traffic. So please, think about this. If you had another 100 cars in your neighborhood every day, think about it. Sit on your front porch one day when you can, this weekend, and think about having another 100 cars in your neighborhood. Surely y'all live on cul-de-sacs and crap, but we don't. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Beck. And I have Jordan. Okay, so that must be you. All right, come on up. Is it Mr. Adler?
Give me a second.
Oh, you're good.
Yeah, trying to figure out this wheelchair. I'm not used to driving.
We can hear you too if you want to just stay where you're at.
Wheelchair into our car, so
I stay
this
like-
thing collapses.
Can I stay right here?
Yeah, I think you're good, right? Yep.
Oh, there's a mic.
Oh, there's a mic over here. They set one up for you.
There you go.
I didn't even see that.
I don't think it's good. I'll put that a little bit. Take it off.
There you go.
I'm Jordan Adler. I live at 163 North Beverly, around the corner of Beverly. I'm 29 years old, and I live alone with my 2 dogs. And my only concern is the safety for myself and the kids in the in the neighborhood. I go to the church that they are talking about. I walk across the street every Sunday, and I have seen, there's been a few times I've seen kids almost get run over by cars. I've seen a car accident right outside my window. There's multiple times where I've heard of people smoking pot on the corner, around that corner of Beverly, and it's just not safe. And if you put 68 units, it's gonna be a lot more traffic, and that whole section on Second and Beverly is gonna be so packed and compact that it's gonna be unsafe for me to take my wheelchair across the street. I think we should have more street lights on Beverly, because that might be a little bit safer. But I think if you split the units in half, say like 38, then it will give less concern of the safety. Where the townhouses are going to be, I have no concern of it affecting my privacy, regards to that, but just the safety concern of how much the traffic is going to be. I know it's going to be only like 22% increase, but to me that's a big amount for someone like me, and just not safe. I feel like, it is a nice place. The park, the park needs help, and the park is not really safe. But just how Tim was talking about the fence thing, I think that will actually work out to make the park a little bit more safer. Just my only concerns with the safety of it on that corner of Second and Beverly, and that's it. Thank you.
I'm not on mic. There you go. Thank you, Mr. Adler. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, any other cards that we have? I don't believe we're good. Okay. With that, I will invite the applicant to come back up to respond to the comments.
Thank you, Chair and board members, and thank you for the neighbors for being a part of the process. As things develop, we know as cities grow and as they age, things change, and it's good to have feedback from everybody on that. I'm curious about Mr. Ziegler's stuff with the pollution. That's not something I've heard come up in these hearings before, and so now my interest is piqued about it. What is the pollution amount that changes, and how did that's something I'm definitely going to look into more. I don't think I've ever seen it in the code or anywhere else that we kind of look at when we're reviewing these, but that's something that we certainly don't want to, add huge amounts of pollution. So that's something that I'm going to look into in more detail. There was a traffic study done by Y2K Engineering. I think it might have been put in your packet of information. To summarize the long study, they think that there will be an increase of 446 total trips per day with these units going in. That works out to about 25 or 26 trips per hour, cars coming in and out, which doesn't greatly increase the number of cars on the streets there. It does increase it. It doesn't greatly increase it. They have a couple different ways of getting out. They can go down to Main. They can go out Second. So it doesn't add a huge amount of traffic to that. Let me see if I can address some of the other questions here. There's a question of density. That's always a question that comes up when townhouses come into an area. As where we're working now, we see that there's a housing shortage in the nation, and density. Sometimes I'm very concerned about it. This one, because the park is right next to it, it's almost like the density is half what it would be if you had units coming in all along both of these. It's an R4 development, but it's quite a bit less dense than it could be if you maxed out an R4 development. So we don't see the huge challenge in that. One of the things about density, though, again, since I work in West Mesa and I do a lot of infill in West Mesa, I'm often approached by developers saying, hey, how do I maximize this site? What are the cheapest apartments that I can just get in, get out, make my money? I always say no to those offers, and I say, nope, that's not what I'm going to do. I live in West Mesa. This is where my home is. This is my neighborhood. We can put in high-quality projects. We will seek for more density because that lowers the risk of a high-quality project. But I've said no to many projects, or I've taken a developer and said, look at what they're doing on this Main Street Station project, which is around the corner from this one. This was a very successful project. You can have a successful project too by building quality projects in West Mesa and not just seeing it as a dumping ground for cheap apartments. So I've talked about the traffic study. The back wall, there's always a concern with neighbors with views coming in from the windows from a two-story unit. If single-family homes can actually be built much closer to a wall, the setbacks are much less. So if this lot was divided and 4 single-family homes were in there, they could be, I think it's 5 or 10 feet away from the fence. So the views would be much worse than that. And then if you look at the landscape plan, we've done what we can. We know, a wall has to be like 15 feet high before a wall is blocking the views, and that's why we put these trees all along the back there, mulgas and eucalyptus that have a large canopy that block the views between the front and the back. There's a question about how many people end up living in these. The Main Street Station apartments around the corner that were the inspiration for this. Those are primarily retirees who've moved into that, so there are 2 people living in a house, and you get a certain number of newlyweds, and then they have a kid or 2, and then most of them switch to a single-family home about that point. So we don't, in our experience in building these types of units, we haven't seen 6, 7, 8 people living in each unit like that. I think that addresses all of the questions that I wrote down. Are there any others that the board or chair may have?
Any other questions for the applicant here?
One question.
Oh, go for it.
You mentioned Main Street Station a few times, and I seem to remember that one, but I'm curious what the density on that one was, like units per acre wise, if you recall.
I'd have to look. Okay. I don't remember. And it's not finished because they didn't build the units right along Main Street yet. So, but they're pretty. I mean, they have the 24-foot drive aisles. They're doing a lot of the same things that we're doing. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I just had I don't know who could answer, but what would be the maximum size per acre
Or like you
on
mean
this
for
one?
RM?
Oh,
Yeah,
if
for
we
this
took it
one.
all the way out, it's what, 3.14 acres, I think? And you can go 30 units per acre, so it'd be somewhere
And you're
north of
in the
90.
22,
So
23.
the max could be 30
It could
units per
be-
acre?
Yeah,
Or-
because R4, so if it was, I think it's 3.14 times 30. So you could put 94 units potentially.
Just a clarification Rachel has.
Yep, so for the RM4, it's 30 dwelling units per acre.
And we are currently in
So
the
that could be
22,
the max.
23.
That's the max.
So this, this has,
And Board Member Montez, that is if it gets rezoned, because there is a rezoning request as part of this
Okay, got it.
application.
yeah. But you could max it out with about 94 units, and we have 68.
So the current density is 22.6 dwelling units per acre. Or the proposed.
Okay.
Any other questions?
No, that was the question I had.
Vice Chair Pitcher, do you have any questions at all for the applicant? Okay, all right, thank you. Appreciate it. All right, with that, I'll close it for public comment. And then we'll go ahead and open it up to the board for discussion.
We got a rebuttal for what he,
Unfortunately, no, we don't have that as part of the procedure. So we'll be able, although staff, what's your question? Or did you have something? You were waving. Oh, I thought you were waving me down. I apologize. Okay, so with that, we can open it up to the board for discussion. We can go, and of course, people call me right now.
I'll start. So I understand with the Ziegler, Mr. Ziegler, Mrs. Spy, Mr. Adler, I also live very near to here. I'm about 1.5 miles to the north. So I know how the kids are in the area with the school. And it is, with the configuration of the high school, junior high, and elementary school all in the same area, there's some traffic issues as Tim knows. And so yeah, it makes for a unique place to live. I agree, it's a gem for West Mesa. I feel like my neighborhood's a gem for West Mesa, and I appreciate the concern of wanting to maintain that. I've listened to the concerns about the pollution and the street traffic. I think we all have the responsibility to weigh the differing property rights and what reasonable expectations people have. I can understand the concern about privacy, and I can appreciate the large setback that's there, along with the wall and the trees. We recently had a neighbor build a two-story that's right next to us, so I can understand the privacy concern. But you work to mitigate those things together. I do think this will be an upgrade to the park area. I'm curious how the traffic will work, but I think a lot of my concerns personally have been answered. That's kind of where I settle on it as someone who lives in the neighborhood, who understands the dynamic there. There is a lack of affordable housing, attainable housing, and I like that these are 3-bedroom units. I think that'll create a more permanent type of resident that'll be there rather than a more transient type that'll be in and out. So I like the area to have roots and people that want to stay around and be bought into the community. So I can appreciate the 3 bedrooms. I can appreciate the 3 stories are on the south side to try to mitigate some of those privacy concerns. I think the one thing for me is the street parking that will come, and I think if the city were to put speed humps along Beverly, that may help. But yeah, that's kind of where I settle on this issue. Yep.
Anything else?
Well, I think with the speed humps could come, right? Like later, if the traffic gets where they can do a traffic study and look and see like speed humps maybe be coming if it becomes a problem of speeding. I don't know who can,
Well, that's up to.
because I know some neighborhoods didn't have them, and then now they
Yeah,
have the
they're
speed
starting
humps. They've come because of that. Okay, I'm just.
Anything else? Vice Chair Pitcher, you have anything at all that you want to?
No, and I appreciate the concerns that have been raised. I'm a great proponent of having privacy in your backyard. I appreciate what the applicant has done though, with the 8-foot wall and all the landscaping and taking out the parking on that side. So I think that's a plus for this development. And like Board Member Carpenter said, the affordability of housing is important.
I think one of the things that's interesting is I almost wondered, I don't know, staff, we couldn't actually add this, but most of these residential, I feel like just a simple, line of sight drawing would be something that should be a standard in every single one of these, because it would get in front of a lot of these concerns and show a lot of the public that the view actual angles are much better for you than you think it is. It's not, you're not gonna have anybody looking in directly. I think that should probably be a standard drawing, but regardless, I think to your point, Vice Chair Pitcher, and I think, again, a lot of these, I looked at this as well. I lived in this neighborhood. I moved out recently, but I lived very close to here actually for quite some time. And I know it well as well. And I think that this is one of those ones, I will be honest, it's a little more dense than I'm super comfortable with. I think the density is a little bit much for just kind of what you're seeing around it, but it is not way out of whack for me. What's nice is usually we don't see parking. It's always a reduction on parking, and I think the applicant did a good job here. We've got plenty of parking, and usually that's a challenge that we have to go through. The other one, and I probably should have brought this up to you guys when we were doing the study session, we were talking about this as well. From the staff side, traffic reviewed this. We talked about service and accessibility and getting through. All of that was reviewed as well. It was all fine, and we appreciate staff going through that. So with that, I will be in support of it. I think this is something, to your point as well, Jason, I get it, but at the same time, as far as use, I mean, this could be something that could be a much bigger negative impact to the neighborhood, believe it or not, within what our purview is as a planning and zoning board. So with that, I don't think anybody's, I'll go ahead and make a motion. I do know that we have 3 stipulations that we need to add to this, so I'm just gonna kind of just wing it, if that works, and then we can kind of go from there, if that works for staff. I'm seeing head nod, so I'll go ahead. So with that, I would move to approve item 4A PZ 25009, which is ZON 24-006338, the lofts at 121, which is 3± acres, located at 121 and 129 North Beverly, approximately 881 feet north of northeast corner of East Main Street, North Beverly. Rezoned from a single residence 6 to multiple residence 4 with a planned area development overlay and site plan review for multiple residence development. Staff recommendation is approval with conditions. I move to approve with the added stipulations of adding the language for a 8-foot fence along the north side, correct?
It's a PAD modification or addition for an 8-foot wall, I believe
PAD
it is.
addition for an 8-foot wall along the north, correct? As well as an updated narrative to be provided by the applicant. And then working with parks and discussions on the southern fence and access to, and design of that fence and access to the park. Does that work for winging it? The lawyer's looking very concerned, so.
I would just, for the parks, maybe add something about ultimate resolution that Parks needs to approve.
All right, with basically the added resolution to the third stipulation that Parks approves the design of the fence to be located on the southern edge of the boundary next to the park.
And linkages.
And linkages to the park, thank you. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
All right, now everybody, we'll ask for everyone to vote on this one, and Vice Chair Pitcher?
Yes.
And with that, unanimously, this motion passes. We appreciate everybody that's been here today for this. So 4A does pass.
You know, my neighbors told me you were gonna shove this down our throats, and you're sure doing it. Yep. That's why there's nobody else here.
We appreciate you being here, and I apologize it didn't work out the way you think.
I mean, these
All the
people-
city
Is there
looks at
anything
the money
from
they're
staff?
gonna make off
What's that?
68 units in that
Nothing
place.
for updates at all?
Fees, all the other sort of stuff on utilities. That's all you're looking at.
Chair, there is no additional updates.
With
Dollar
that,
sign,
is there a
dollar
motion
sign,
to,
dollar sign.
Greed,
So moved.
greed,
second?
and more greed.
All right, all in favor to adjourn? Vice Chair Pitcher?
Yes.
All right, we're adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for being here.
Why did we bother?